I mean, the shadow show is going on right now while you're getting makeup, and that's the spirit of the shadow show. I just want you to know that we're on the air because you were yammering as if you didn't know that things had started around here.
I didn't.
And we've got a chaotic situation this morning because in an overcrowded Miami, there's been a number of accidents, and so a few people have not been able to get in. The pirate ship is in battered waters right now, and Jeremy, the entire time, is running in and out of the room in a panic, singing a song at the top of his lungs that no one else is singing with him.
That's right. Yeah, it's great. I'm really excited to get this one to you guys at some point, but that's kind of the environment here. Most mornings, I'm showing up after taking about an hour and 45 minutes to drive in. Like this morning, I left my house at 6:35. I got here at 8:25. And then I'm running back and forth between studios trying to sing songs. God Bless Football's happening in the other studio. I had to come into Studio A. I had to tell our director to stop testing audio because I needed to sing from several different distances from a microphone.
Yeah. So, that's the kind of professionalism he's bringing to work in the morning while you don't know that we're on air because you're yammering with Jess, the makeup artist.
I wouldn't call it a lack of professionalism. No one said, all right, we're on air in 3.
Well, they were saying that in my headset. You were wearing headsets as well.
No, he didn't. I don't think your headphones were on. He did do something very considerate this morning, though. He did laundry for everybody. Like, there's these blankets and jackets that people use because this studio fluctuates a little bit, but sometimes it's very cold. And Amin made the observation, like, no one's washed these things in several years.
Ever. Not all the human secretions that have been on all those things, but also Willow just going around rubbing her ass on everything. And you guys wrapping yourselves
I think that's a bit incriminating to Willow. She's not here to defend herself.
She got a surrogate.
Jess had me jealous last night, and I have not said this of the Knicks in 15 years, but Jess got to experience one of the most joyous things, which is to be awoken by the double bang.
This West Coast trip is killing me.
At what age did you guys check out on West Coast games because you couldn't make it through regular season, a Tuesday night, 10:30 to 1:30, even if it means Bridges is going to hit a ridiculous game winner to beat Portland?
I think after I had a child. This is just West Coast trips where we're out.
It's Willow.
I mean, I also picked a terrible time to leave a bar 2 nights ago because the Panthers lost to the Bruins. I was at the hockey bar, and the very next game was the Pacers-Bucks. And I saw the Pacers were managing the end of the game. I'm like, all right, I'm going to leave. And I left right before the Halliburton 4-point play.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's just a miscalculation on that part. I don't know ball. It's accurate. I'm not an NBA fan. I'm a Miami Heat fan. It just is what it is. And if the Miami Heat aren't good, I'll say bad things about the sport that I won't watch, and it probably infuriates people that actually know ball. Yep. That being said, I'm 7 for my last 7 betting in the association without having watched a second of it.
Well, he still doesn't know what to do with Rudy Gobert.
Amin, help me out because, look, I'm ready to admit I don't know ball anymore. I used to know a lot of ball. Now, don't know ball. Is Rudy Gobert good or bad?
He's good situationally. Or I should say, he's bad situation.
Thanks for clearing all that up.
That is the kind of expertise that you can get nowhere else. How did you not clear that up for him? Because what Mike says is strange. And at the crux of, can Denver beat Minnesota? Rudy Gobert stands in the way. Except when the playoffs start and then the matchups make it so he can't play anymore.
Unless they match up against the greatest player maybe in the history of the game. And then he doesn't come off the court. He helps Minnesota a lot, as he helped Minnesota last night. So situationally bad, but situationally if that is against a defending NBA champion with the best player maybe we've ever seen, situationally good. Very confused by Rudy Gobert.
Denver's not defending.
No, I mean last year when they eliminated them.
Okay.
I know ball, you don't.
Stop that. Stop that. Caution, cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for war, man, forget my peace. We take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, not so tough when man's keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, right there's let her tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan, if you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that, stop that, stop that.
Fun basketball night last night, and I came in today and I say to Jessica, what is the age that someone starts checking out on West Coast games during the regular season? Because whatever, you got to work in the morning, and it's hard sometimes on Tuesday night to stay up till 1 in the morning so that you could watch Bridges beat Portland at the buzzer with a bad shot, good shot, bad shot. Like, I don't love that shot, but it went in, and so in the middle of the night, the Knicks win, and this is the most interesting Knicks team there's been in 20 years, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like we're the third consecutive year of saying that.
Well, but it's gotten better.
Yeah, every
each
year.
year it's gotten better.
So it's the most interesting Knicks team since last season.
Okay, but in the middle of the night, Mike Breen produces his 9th double bang, a record 9th double bang for Bridges, and the Knicks woke you up last night, Jessica. You can't make it through even a regular.
Well, Mike Breen woke me up.
with a bang.
I watched all of the Thunder Celtics game, which was a great game, hopefully we will talk about after this. But then, Knicks are on a West Coast road trip. Jalen Brunson's still out. They're going to reevaluate his ankle in a week. So Deuce McBride's been starting at the point, and they're playing Portland, who's not great, but they're not terrible either. And, West Coast game, 10 o'clock start. I fell asleep probably at 10:15 and woke up to the overtime double bang on that 3-point shot. And, man, was it exactly like that. So jarring.
Yeah, I mean, that's so. I mean, where are you on this? Because that was the less interesting game of the night. Because watching OKC go into Boston, for some reason, it's one of the rare regular season ones that feels like it matters. When you're watching it and you're like, no, Boston it matters to Boston to win this, and it's interesting that all they're doing is shooting all threes. And if they make more of them, they'll beat OKC. And if they take that many in every game, you're going to get the game totally distorted.
Yeah, 9 of 46 from 3. But they also got to the free throw line almost twice as much as Oklahoma City did. So I think from Boston's perspective, they're saying we took the shots we want, we got to the places we want, we just couldn't execute. And then also they couldn't stop Shea. And that's, the idea going into the game, there was no Jalen Williams for Oklahoma City, there was no Porzingis for Boston. So both of these teams were missing key pieces. But the game plan with the Thunder is get the ball out of Shea's hands and make one of these other guys prove it in terms of bringing it up and creating offense. And usually the other guy they're saying that of is Jalen Williams, who's an all-star this year for a good reason, but he's not out there last night. So now you're trying to play through Chet and Hartenstein and other guys are bringing the ball up, and it didn't really matter. And this is a very possible finals preview, Dan. We could be watching Thunder Celtics in, 3 months from now.
The existence of the Celtics is the only thing that makes people believe that Cleveland will not be in the finals. That Cleveland, are you still practicing your bang back there?
He's got a good bang.
Bang!
That's just you got to do a double though. It was a double bang last night.
Yes, well, you're red faced. It's a nuclear shade of red that you are, and I would say though that you're going from your feet, and I feel you grabbing it from under the chair. And it's coming out of the right side of your mouth. Bang!
You know what? There's a pain in Mike Breen's bangs, and he's nailed it. There's a pain in bang!
It's like strained a little bit.
Almost crying.
Bang!
Yeah.
Like your toes are digging into the ground.
That's going to get annoying. You got to be careful with that. All right. Use some judgment there. It's good, but it's also you pace yourself.
My heart's fluttering a little bit because it's a little bit like I'm in shock still
Pavlov
from
zones?
waking up last night, so this is making me kind of go back into like the flutter zone.
This is the doctor with the hammer hitting your knee.
Exactly. I'm like,
Or perhaps choppers for a Vietnam vet.
She got PTSD. Dum 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 dum.
I mean, Mike checked back in with the NBA last night, but I ask you, which is the bigger story, just in terms of in the weeds in basketball and the places that you find more interesting? That the Knicks would win at the buzzer on that shot by Bridges, or that Bridges, a key piece, a key third piece, who a lot of capital was invested in. This guy has to be good for us to be championship good. He says before the game that his minutes are too high, and that Thibodeau, feeding into the narrative of Thibodeau, he'll run your knees into the ground, he'll run Derrick Rose's career into the ground, he'll play everybody too many minutes. Bridges feeds that, and it's an interesting messenger for a number of reasons, but one of the reasons is he leads the league in minutes, and he never misses a game. So if he's telling you, hey, off my body, I need some load management, even though I'm a guy who's out there every single time, which is the bigger story, the dramatic one or the one that's going to create narrative around Thibodeau again?
Dan, do you know who Mikal Bridges hit that shot against?
I do not.
Okay, that's why you're asking that question. They played the Blazers. The Blazers, who have been playing a lot better. I'll give them great credit. I also shout out to Chauncey Billups, who coaches this team, and not Detroit, who's done a great job after a lot of people wrote him off. Having said all that, that pales in comparison to the Bridges comment, because Tibbs responded yesterday via James Edwards of The Athletic, quote, "We never had a conversation about it. The facts are the facts. Jalen is 20th or 21st in average minutes. Cat is below that. Your wings play more. They're matched up against primary players." This right here is the first fracture I have seen in about 2.5 years. In terms of all along, guys have been, whatever Tibbs says, they back him up. They back him up. They back him up. And now this is the first time we got a guy saying, I don't know, right? The original quote, this is according to Stefan Bondi of the New York Post, sometimes it's not fun on the body. Our bench guys can come in and we don't need to play 48 minutes. It helps just keeping fresh bodies out there.
All right. Can I have though a macro conversation? Thibodeau is known, like there are very few coaches that are known for this. He's gonna run your dudes into the ground. Like he
plays his guys. And what he'll say, and what this is echoed by everybody from this coaching tree, right? Stan Van Gundy, Jeff Van Gundy, all these guys, right? Michael Malone is another one, where what they'll say is, yeah, I play my best players because you play to win the game.
In my lifetime in basketball, no one is more associated. I mean, it was Dusty Baker with arms in baseball, but my father refers to him as the butcher because he looks like a butcher. But a lot of people accuse him more than any other coach of he's going to wreck your knees because you're just going to play a ton of minutes. Like that's a reputational thing. And now this part was the interesting part to me. New York fell in love with that team the last couple of years, and it's heart and it's grit and now it's Cat, and it's what we've got to reduce the minutes. And Bridges goes for a bunch of picks, and now he's talking about minutes. Do you
Hart's
understand?
still there, by the way. Thank God.
Yeah, but they fell in love.
Grit's gone. He's in Minnesota now. Dante.
They fell in love with Hartenstein, and then he's gone, and all the things Hartenstein represented. And now this team is something different. It's got more talent, more expectations, but it's harder to love if it's going to become between about what Thibodeau used to coach up and now what's objectionable to the new guys.
So this is the fun part of this, right, is Tibbs rightly states, hey, my main guys are playing less average minutes than a lot of the other stars in the league. But when you start looking at combinations, Dan, that's where it gets interesting. For example, the most played lineup in the NBA this season, number one, are the Knicks' Karl Anthony Towns, Brunson, Bridges, Hart, Anunoby. 885 minutes played. The next highest one are the Timberwolves, Conley, Gobert, Randall, Edwards, McDaniels, 551. That's more than 300 more minutes. And then number 3 is Sacramento at 431 with their lineup, and then Houston 422. So you see it's like there's a gap, a massive gap. The gap between 2 and 1 in and of itself would be in the top 10. Like those 300 plus minutes would be top 10 in lineups played if it were a lineup itself.
Bridges is such an interesting messenger. Don't you think? I
Yeah.
mean, when the voice on that is, no, I play more minutes than anybody, and I play every single game. Like, and nobody in the league does that. And I mean, when Embiid's body breaks down in Philadelphia, when all of these guys know that their economies, and in New York, you've now got the economy built around 3 stars, and the team, they fell in love with Brunson and grit and all those things. Brunson took a discount, all the things you love. But the bodies, like, they're playing a lot of minutes, and I want to know what you do with the messenger.
Well, I think it's interesting because another guy who said the opposite, not now, I believe it was last season, was Josh Hart. Josh Hart actually leads not only the team in minutes, the league in minutes played. Josh Hart not only leads the league in minutes played, but plays a lot of out-of-position basketball. He's playing against power forwards and sometimes centers, right? So the guy playing the hardest minutes in the league is also playing the most minutes in the league. And last year, he was supportive of all of this. There is something to me. It's like, oh, the new guy came in and said, wait, what are we doing here? Versus the guys who had been there who are kind of entrenched in that mentality. I just, it's interesting to me. I don't know if it means anything that Mikal Bridges is the messenger, or maybe we're all taking a quote out of context, because that could happen too, where he's being asked specifically about something and part of his answer does say those words, but then if you extrapolate just those words, it sounds like he's complaining when he's really not.
I appreciate, especially with the mean in, all the love that the association is getting. Bang! But are you guys not aware that this is March? This is March, and you guys were watching the pros when Cal and Stanford played an ACC tournament men's basketball game in Charlotte.
Let me tell you something.
How could you
Mike.
watch anything else?
Mike, we did this yesterday where we talked about Sissoko for Cal fasting, and Boeheim had some kind of insensitive remarks or whatever. And it took me legit like a strong 40 minutes to figure out, why is Boeheim calling a Cal game? What is this ACC network logo pop? Like, I could not put 2 and 2 together.
It is the most ridiculous in basketball, because in college football you get used to cross-country trips. Like Miami-Cal being a conference game is weird, but the notion of Miami playing Cal isn't all that weird. An ACC conference tournament in ACC country with Cal and Stanford, I was locked in.
I mean, we literally just had USC and UCLA play for the Big Ten championship on Sunday in Indiana.
It's incredible.
It's absurd.
But like, let's do
I
this.
was locked in on Indiana last night as well, as 2 sub-500 basketball teams went to double OT on Peacock, locked in on the cock, was watching USC Rutgers. Woof!
Shout out to the cock.
I liked his better. Locked in on the cock, or that's better.
Keep it
than-
locked on the cock.
Okay, you're doing something here. I've got to
that
tell
one
you.
was just loud.
Well, it's not just loud.
Your microphones picked that up. I didn't get the signal that the bang was coming, so all the audience probably heard was "Bah!"
The way that he does it, though, you don't understand. It's like he's stomping on the ground, and there's a little Popeye in it, a lot of lumberjack thick. And the Breen is a bit of a statue. Breen is a statuesque broadcaster. His bang is all pipes. It's all pipes. Yours, it feels like it's got rage instead of broadcasting range.
Bang!
There it is.
you go.
That was
Got
good.
it back now.
That
See,
was good.
the pain has to be a part of it.
Bang!
Yeah,
There you go. That's
can't-
your do-re-mi right there.
Yeah, you can't disassociate from the pain. You got to be there. But Mike, I have a suggestion, and Jess, I want you to weigh in on this as well. We have 40 teams in the Big Ten. We have Hawaii in the ACC. Like, let's change these names. Why are we married to these names?
The IP.
The Pac-10,
The
8,
logo.
12.
It was a Pac-12 with 2 teams in it.
And then it was before that was the Pac-10. Before that was the Pac-8. Like,
Well,
what?
I have good news for you, Amin. In 5 years, when it only costs $75 million to leave the ACC, there probably will be 2 differently named conferences that all the teams are in.
Provided we make it 5 years.
That's a good point.
So what is happening throughout the sport? I ask you this because this was curious last night. Coleman Hawkins, this was the most expensive player in the portal. After Kansas loses here, he appears broken, and a lot of people are talking about the pressures of money with this clip. As you hear, this seems a little early for this kind of the pressure hasn't yet ratcheted up to where it might be. But when you throw money into the equation and when you make them professionals, some of this stuff lands hard on kids, kids maturing into expectations.
These guys haven't experienced some of the things I've experienced. And, I really wanted to come in and impact the program. Man, I'm sorry for crying, but it hurts, but I really wanted to come in and impact the program, and some of the stuff, the outcome, obviously wasn't what we wanted, but if someone asks me if I regret coming here, I tell them, I don't regret meeting my team, the coaching staff, the people I met, and my heart just breaks for them because, like I said, they just haven't experienced some of the things I experienced in my career. But same thing for the fans, because I feel like I let a lot of people down. And I feel like I did a poor job of letting people talk about me and it affect my play. And it was evident all year, and I wish I could just go back and block out everything, not for myself, but for the team, so we could have had a more successful year. But, this is a learning lesson for me, and I wish the best for the future of this program.
Brutally honest. Too honest.
Yeah, you don't have to. Kid, where's the PR person? Where's, you don't have to spill your guts about.
Oh, we're not going to do this.
No, I'm not blaming the kid. I'm blaming the PR person. You got to step in.
To protect him from himself.
Yeah, man.
I kind of get where he's coming from. But how could you watch that clip? I mean, I guess you could watch that clip and think, where's PR? But empathy is all I felt. That's really, bang.
Yeah, I did not immediately go to where is PR. When I said brutally honest, too honest, is he's sharing his vulnerability with the same people who are making him vulnerable, and so the exchange is an unpleasant one when it comes with expectations, and he's spilling his guts on, I care so much about this, and I feel like I've let everyone down.
It's an interesting last 5 minutes that we've had on this show, because all this stuff is born out of NIL and conference realignment and the open awareness of what the business of college sports is, what it was, and now that we've pulled the curtain back, you have crazy conference realignment matchups of Cal, Sanford, and Charlotte. You have highly paid college athletes saying that the criticism got to him because, he's young. You go to college to prepare for your professional life, and that's understandable that he's having a difficult time with that. For me, it brings a lot of interesting scenarios to the table that we've never talked about, but the college athletic story that I want to talk about most was in college baseball. Did you guys see I'm sure you guys were all locked into Kansas, Minnesota in baseball.
Oh, man, couldn't keep my eyes off it.
You know where that game was played?
Yeah.
In the Minnesota Vikings cavernous football stadium, the brand new stadium that Minnesota has built for itself. There was a college baseball game between Kansas and Minnesota. No one was there. And Kansas went
watch on TV.
back to back to back.
Oh, I did see
to
this.
back
Yeah.
to back home runs.
I did.
Bang.
Yes. Yes, 5 of them. 5 bangs.
5
Bang! Bang! Bang!
5 pings off the bat, rattling through an empty football stadium. I don't know who's paying for this. How does this make sense? Why are we doing this? Who asked for this?
You got to throw one high and in after the 4th home run.
Oh, yeah, at that
you
point.
got to. You cannot allow a 5th home run in that spot. I mean, we all
that's
agree.
The line?
We all agree on this. Look, after the 4th
Some
one,
people
no.
would say after the 2nd.
Right. So I'm making it a very liberal thing here. After the 4th one, you cannot throw a fastball. Yeah. You cannot throw anything in the strike zone. That's ridiculous. It's a totally empty stadium. So the only sound you're hearing in the stadium is ping, ping, ping,
Oh my God.
ping, ping. There's legitimately no one there.
No one
It's
is
like
there. There isn't like there's a smattering of applause for like the 5th consecutive home run that's going on.
You know who hit the 3rd one, right? Craig Counsell's son.
I knew it was going to be someone's son. I had a feeling.
But you didn't express it.
Well, because I would let her. She did the right amount of pregnant pause before she delivered the line. Dan, I have in front of me a top five 3-man lineups by minutes played in the NBA this season.
That's what you've been working on while this other one is just going bang, bang, bang all over the place.
Bang! Professionalism. So, there are no OLIs. Number 5, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, and Mikal Bridges. Number 4, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, and Jalen Brunson. Number 3, Karl Towns, Josh Hart, and Mikal Bridges. Number 2, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, and Jalen Brunson. And the number 1 most played 3-man rotation in the entire NBA. Bam Adebayo. No, psych. It's Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, and Jalen Brunson. Had to go in there for a second.
Okay, so what is the point? The larger point that you made so artfully there is?
They play a lot.
Right. And when they get to the playoffs and lose to Cleveland, people will say it's because the tires fell off of the thing.
I
You
don't
have
think
them losing
that's
to
why.
Cleveland?
I don't think that's why they'll lose to Cleveland.
They
They're
won't
just
lose to
not.
Cleveland.
Well, what?
They won't lose to Cleveland.
You think they'll beat Cleveland?
They won't see Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
Well, you guys
I
have
was
them
like,
play
what
Cleveland?
What are you doing? I don't think they'll lose in the playoffs because they play a lot of minutes in the regular season. I think they're just not a fully there team yet.
You know who they play in the first round projected?
No.
Detroit basketball. Oh, that would be so funny. If Cade Cunningham walks into Madison Square Garden and says, "It's mi casa."
I've not seen this. I mean, laugh at the Knicks. I mean, what?
Has been around for a long time.
No. I have not. Wait a minute. You're predicting now that this Knicks team that it's going to fall apart and it's not going to feel the way the last 2 seasons were feel good at the end. You're predicting that this team is going to disappoint.
Well, I don't think they're going to disappoint because I think they're achieving exactly what they're supposed to achieve. But the reality is they're almost certainly going to be the 3 seed. Boston is certainly going to be the 2 seed. So New York sees probably Detroit, maybe Indiana, maybe Milwaukee in the first round. All 3 of those teams have given them problems. And then if you beat them, then you get to see the Boston Celtics who have ransacked them, right? They have not even looked close to competitive with Boston. It's going to feel, for Knicks fans, way more disappointing. Last year, gritty 7-game series loss to the Pacers, right? The year before that, gritty loss to the Heat, right? Like, clawing and all that. This one is going to feel like, we got smacked around. It wasn't even close.
After they made some major moves in the offseason. Which is why enjoy the regular season and the double bangs while you can have them.
And Jessica brings up a great point, right? The major moves, of which the guy who's complaining about playing too much is the guy they gave up 5 first-round picks for, right? And that's why when everyone's like, the power of friendship, and these guys all went to Villanova, it's the boys back together again. You don't overpay for a Corolla. It's a great car. It's reliable. It's got great gas efficiency. It is going to last forever. The parts, if it breaks down, are relatively cheap. But you don't pay $100,000 for it, even if you know it has gold bricks in the back.
How much aluminum's in it? Just saying we're headed that. It's
that
a tariff joke. It's a tariff joke.
It's
a tariff joke.
Thanks, Mike.
Bang! I can't do it the same way.
That was like a ghost.
No, that was like a
bang.
firecracker that went off.
Nosferatu.
That was just a good spot for a bang.
Of the 2
ghost
games,
hit a 3-pointer.
I was hoping Chris would meet me there, guys. He's saying one thing.
of the 2 games, Jessica, the first one was more interesting to you, but your boyfriend is very enthused. Lehman is very enthused about the Knicks, and so you're getting roped into more Knicks games than you'd care to be roped into, correct?
Yes, one more Knicks game is one too many. No, I've been on the Knicks bandwagon for the last couple of years just because the Bulls are disappointing. So at least it's something.
What else you got?
At least it's something in the NBA for me to cheer on. But otherwise, it's been a very toxic week in our house. You have Aaron Rodgers choosing supposedly between the Giants and the Steelers. Neither of us want him. It's very, very toxic. Every time there's an update, we read it to each other like it's an obituary.
Adam Schefter is so pissy right now at Aaron Rodgers. He's so mad at him.
I mean, it's what day is it? Thursday? It's Thursday, and all it's like we get a weird picture of him on the beach. Apparently,
one.
he's
The Affleck one.
Affleck picture
with the blanket.
Well, and also still not trusting Bluetooth.
But by the way, the blanket that had he given it to me, I would have laundered like the other blankets in here.
Oh, that's sweet of you. We get a weird picture of him on the beach. Apparently, he's like considering retirement again, or the Giants or the Steelers. And now Russell Wilson's visiting with the Browns, which tells me that he's not happy and the Steelers aren't happy with that, which we kind of already knew. Kenny Pickett got traded to the Browns, which is also very funny because it may be the second year in a row that Kenny Pickett's starting job in the NFL gets usurped by Russell Wilson. So that's a storyline to look out for. But everyone, it's like musical chairs right now, and no one really wants Aaron Rodgers to sit on their chair, at least not for the amount of money that I think he wants. But you may end up at some point without a quarterback to sit in your chair because there's very few starting quarterbacks left out there.
I don't know where Russell Wilson goes if Aaron Rodgers ends up in Pittsburgh. And I do like to think of the best Steeler offense I have seen most recently does have Ben Roethlisberger doing nothing but throwing 5-yard slants, running the football, playing defense, just holding the football. Those are the best Steeler teams. And if he's just going to throw slants to DK Metcalf 5 yards at a time with limited offense ball, like you can feel it fitting. But I didn't realize we had reached the blanket on the beach contemplating photos stage of the Aaron Rodgers attention free agents. I'm here. I'm available.
Yeah, we've been arguing like all week in our house. Like I've been saying like, well, I mean, if he goes to the Giants, he doesn't have to move. He can stay in the same house he's been living in, and he doesn't have to change his commute. And then Lee's like, yeah, but if he goes to Pittsburgh, he can pass to DK Metcalf. I'm like, but Malik Neighbors, and we've just been arguing back and forth. Like, you take him. No, you take him.
You guys are advocating. Like it's like fantasy football. He's much better for your team anyway. Look at your squad. You need that guy. Dan, you talk about contemplating on the beach with a blanket wrapped around you. That was Jeremy Taché last night. We're at Heat Clippers. And just despondent, the sadness shrouding that place right now. The Heat look directionless. And then midway through, like the third quarter, I looked at Jeremy and I said, you know what the crazy thing is? As bad as everything has been, feels like one of the darkest times in Heat history. There is a strong chance they end up winning the division.
It's really amazing. It's one of the most remarkable. I thought that the chase for the 10 seed in the Eastern Conference was the most interesting chase. No, it's the chase for that division. Because you have the Heat with a real possibility, a team that's lost several games in a row, that looks despondent, that can't beat anybody good and can't beat anybody bad, and yet they might very well win that division and hang a banner for a Southeast Division championship.
I think they kind of need to win a game here.
I mean, the last three. So they lose at home against Chicago. They lose at home against Charlotte. And then they lose last night. Bogdanovich tore him up. Bogdanovich.
Zubats. Oh, my God.
Oh, my. He was one. If you only watched basketball for the first time last night, you would think Zubats is one of the greatest centers that's ever played the game of basketball.
Dan, Kel'el Ware didn't start the second half. Like Spo, like midway through the game.
We don't have an answer for this guy?
No, because it was so clear. I told Jeremy, I said, years from now, Kel'el Ware might be like a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year and a 7-time All-Star, whatever. And he's going to think back at, man, there was this dude who played in the league named Ivica Zubats. He gave me work. Every possible way you could think of, spin moves and jump hooks and dunks and lobs and everything. And Kel'el Ware looked terrified, like he was playing against Shaq. He's like, I don't know what to do.
If I may just like pick your brain real quick, I'm happy. Like I think Jordan Miller is the most underrated basketball player in the history of Miami men's basketball. Mm-hmm. He was so important to their run, and it's not surprising at all that he's found himself in the NBA after working hard at his game. It was a nice little homecoming with Larinaga. He's going to be in the league for a while.
I mean, I think he's got a chance to hang around. But by the way, Mike, last night was the first time I ever seen Jim Larinaga in person. He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's tall.
He's a big guy. His son's not that big. I was staggered at how large a man.
Yes, he's a crane of a man.
It's like
yes.
every other person down here. You walk into the studio and you're like, Jesus Christ, Dan Le Batard is 6'5".
We have all the tall
Which way?
Hispanics, including Laranaga.
Boo.
Oh no, that was a bridge too far.
Yes. Yes, that's where the bridge blows
I know
up.
the association's exciting, but it actually is like kind of a sports equinox for niche sports. You got Indian Wells going on. You've got the players, Chris. The players, the players, and you have Champions League going on at the same time.
And you've got F1 returning, and
Christopher Bell's won 3 straight races.
Can I, because you're in here, I want to ask you a soccer question. We had a PK between PSG and Liverpool the other day, and one of the guys who missed for Liverpool was a guy who had
Well,
never.
Hang on, Jeremy. What is this?
This was not last night. I don't know why we're doing that.
That's me feeling good about a good walk-off interview. That's a fist pump for myself.
That's incredible.
It's a fist pump for the Heat winning the other night.
No, that's a Jeremy like, man, I killed it there.
Yeah.
type of fist pump.
I'm allowed to feel good about myself.
I
Who
like
did this?
how
Who took this
grainy-
video? Why does this exist?
It's grainy.
I am sweating right now. Why did we do this?
Way
It's
to
in
go, Jeremy.
480p.
who did this to Jeremy?
Who did this to
This
me?
seems invasive. This seems like this shouldn't be.
I'm fist pumping to myself, Chris.
wait,
I'm
wait.
excited.
No, he's
You
fist
know what?
pumping to
It's
Pat
a difficult
Riley.
job.
I just
We're
delivered
now,
the
They're now
news.
broadcasting these interviews throughout the arena. Man,
This is
journalism.
Sorkin thinks this is convoluted.
You guys thought that I would be most embarrassed by that time I was caught licking salt and vinegar chips off of my finger. It's not. It's this. And I can't believe everyone in the studio
This is
betrayed me this
unfair.
way.
Okay,
just
look,
delivered the news.
I'm so sorry.
I hate
Do you
you guys.
routinely do this?
Now this
No,
is
it
look,
felt good. Guys, I don't even know.
Don't
I
shame
don't know.
him about this.
No, I'm not shaming him. I'm just curious.
He
So
feels
here's the
good about
reality.
himself after he's done something well.
Yeah, I did a good job in an
No,
interview.
he's cheering on the Heat because he's a Jeremy the Homer, and a fan actually sent this video, Jer Bear. This was on League Pass.
This is incredible.
always watching.
It's on League.
But Jeremy, this is my thing. I haven't. I don't believe I've fist pumped ever in my life earnestly.
I played baseball. I was a pitcher. It was an
That
earnest.
is-
That's what that was.
You just
You're
retired
right.
the side, or you just nailed the putt on the
exactly
island
what it
green.
is.
He did. He retired the side, but on a strikeout, and I
Yeah.
think it was a
Two
called,
seam on the outside
I think
corner.
It was
Jason
a,
Day just salvaged par.
It was a called strike 3
Uh-huh,
too.
that's right.
Yes, a check swing.
He's walking back to the
Guys, I'm a
dugout.
competitor. I might not
walking
play
back.
it here, all right? You guys might not see it because I'm the song and dance man over here. But at the end of the day, I'm more competitive than probably anybody in this studio.
Surprised you
top
didn't
of the
hop
fifth.
over the line.
That's not true.
Roll
I'm more
jump.
competitive than you.
I
I
don't
do
think that's
think
true. I'm more
Jessica
competitive.
might
I'll
be
beat
more
your ass right now,
competitive.
Jeremy.
I will not
think-
lose a
I think
competitive
she-
competition.
The
yeah.
only
Fight me.
person I could picture doing that other than Jeremy is Woody after like a soccer broadcast. Just a little.
Well,
No.
I don't. Wait, no. Woody's too cardboard professional, my
repressed.
friend.
Yeah.
No. Woody would do that at home when no one is looking.
No, he wouldn't.
Woody would like tell himself, "Well done."
Yes, that's what would happen. That's his
Well,
version.
Well done, lad.
Well done.
Well done, lad.
Well done, fancy lad.
Well done, old chap.
Or he might clap a head above his head.
All right. Witty.
He was talking to me at a bar. It's one thing if he's on a soccer broadcast, but he's like, "Oh yeah, I had a good time at the weekend."
I hate when he says
At the
that.
weekend? Who are you talking
I
to?
heard him on the radio saying that the other day. I texted him. I said, "I hate you."
Who are you talking to?
I like to think of Whitty as never going to bars, only pubs.
It had to be surreal for him yesterday to be at the center of a place where
Oh, he's here.
Matter of fact, he did ask for ale.
A pint.
Whitty is sitting next to Ray Hudson, and there is confusion and weirdness at the top of the sport, and he handled it with grace. That can be a nightmare for people. The confusion of how are we stopping penalty kicks for a moment and seeing if somebody did or didn't double touch a ball, and then we get into rule parsing. So Whittingham was in the middle of that. Do we have the audio of some of the confusion around this play, because Whittingham just popped up here on the screen, and I believe that he would look down on Jeremy fist pumping himself after a good interview. Do I have it wrong, Whitty?
Yes, you do have it wrong, because that was me yesterday for about 3 hours. from the end of the broadcast to about, I would say, midway through my flight home back to Connecticut, I was either actually fist pumping or watching the video over and over again going, nailed it. Great job. Good job, lad.
Good job, lad.
Good job, lad.
All right, well, take us through it then, because it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird to have everyone just milling about waiting for a result, and I know people in the sport are frustrated with all of the instant replay stuff.
Yeah, and it's also one of those where I think there's a real difference between how American sports are administered and how European football is administered, because there is no announcement. There's no announcement. There's no after further review, our call is whatever. There is no even the referee didn't do the little TV screen VAR thing yesterday. It was just we came back from a replay and he points at both of his legs and then does the wave away thing. And I'm supposed to know what that means, having not been on site, having not seen any of the incident. We're actually in replay while we kind of are hearing some boos. And so I was trying to remember almost what are the moments that's happened before. I remember covering a Europa League game last year where there was a free kick and the ball hit the crossbar and hit the crossbar so hard that it came back to the original taker. And he played it from there. The team scored a goal, and it got ruled out because that is a double kick. You're not allowed to do that, even from a free kick. And so I actually went and read the law on double kicking, and that is how I remembered that for that moment. And it's one of those where you don't really have a ton of information. You don't have a rules expert in your ear, and you got to figure out in real time the information that the viewer will need to know to process the information. Because if I don't explain that rule, or if I don't say this is what they're looking at, and all of a sudden the referee's doing this, that's really confusing for the audience. And I actually talked to a few friends yesterday that were watching the game on mute and didn't know what was going on and still don't really know what happened. Well, and so it was really gratifying to sort of know in the moment and be able to deliver that to the audience.
You did very well. It was still mad confusing because VAR over the last few years, a lot of people have claimed it's ruined the game because it's slowed it down. It's taken away the emotion of it. If there were ever an instance where you slow the game down to make sure you got the call right, it's in PKs in a knockout fixture in the Champions League. But that's not what happened. There was zero communication. It was very odd. The only reason that I knew that this was even possible because when it happened live, I was just impressed that Alvarez got it in because he slipped. And this is not the spirit of the rule when it comes to the double touch. He slipped. He barely grazed it. If he did, the replays were not conclusive. You guys did so well. I mean, Hudson's been around the block, and even he was kind of stunned at what happened. We have audio of you guys reacting to it real time. I think when you consider the scenario, guys handled this about as well as you possibly could.
That would be a double touch. Thought he just slipped. Let's see. Doesn't really look like it there. Not from that angle. And I think the referee is saying that it is a double kick. It won't count.
Are your producers screaming in your headphones? I'm sure you're looking for all the information. Yeah. And also, Whitty, if you could tell us what happened there, but also what happened afterwards, because there were 4 different reports that I saw as to how they came to this ruling, and ultimately the final result is just trust us, bro, which is kind of odd. So walk us through like the aftermath and what's going on in your headphones.
Well, to be fair, my producer didn't say much to me. It was only after the game where we signed off. He counts me back to the studio. I tossed back to the studio, and the first thing he said was, "Man, I thought you were wrong about that." And I was really scared in real time that you got that wrong. But it was definitely almost like a gamble. It's one of those where you say it and you're wondering why everyone's standing around. I think that's the biggest thing. And to be fair, having watched the video like 100 times now, the Real Madrid players, Jude Bellingham most prominently, is standing there going, dos tocadas, which is Spanish for 2 touches. And so he was standing there kind of saying they had seen that. And I was trying to piece it all together, and realistically, I was just waiting to see, because again, we don't have the announcements. I was just waiting to see what the announcement, what the signal was going to be. And the referee kind of points to both of his legs and go, double touch, wave away, and you're kind of context clue guessing. And for me, the sort of moment of vindication was, so immediately Real Madrid take their 3rd penalty, which was converted by Federico Valverde, and the next So they show the replay, they come out of it, and they do that little score bug thing where it has the green squares and the red squares that show converted or not converted. And when the red square came up for the second Atleti take, I was like, okay, I got it right, and we're moving on. Now, to answer your second question about what happens after the game, it was kind of theorized that maybe they have semi-automated offside technology, and it determines kick points, meaning there's some kind of way that they figure out when and where the ball was touched. And so they could use that technology maybe to figure it out. But according to the people that were on the ground, according to UEFA, they only determined that it was a double touch from the video. And like you said, Mike, it was incredibly quick to determine something that has been analyzed so granularly since. It was Brazilian TV, actually, that found this one angle, and they kept back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And you finally see that first initial touch where he gets it, and then he kicks it onto that first leg that went slipping. So, yeah, it's remarkable that they determined it so quickly, and then they moved on so quickly. It wasn't like, oh, the Atleti crowd or the Atleti players or the manager started arguing. It was just straight on to the third take, and you're kind of going, I hope I got this right.
Witty, when you think about these kind of situations where there isn't, as you said, the guy's not mic'd up, there isn't a big announcement, is there a particular reason for that, or is this just the relative European lack of sophistication towards the customer experience, the way our sports here is so geared to being customer engaging, and they're over there like, hey, if you didn't figure it out, then you don't watch the sport enough?
Yeah, I really think that it is just sort of pig-headedness in my mind. In Major League Soccer, they brought in referee announcements starting last year. MLS would be kind of the league that's most progressive in this respect, given that it is kind of an American cultural tradition for the referees to be mic'd. So that started last year, and I think it works really well. It certainly helps me from a broadcasting point of view because I can just say, and now the referee will give his decision, and he actually comes on and gives it, as opposed to you do this thing, the VAR screen, and then sometimes when they say it's not a foul, the referee will do this, which is raise his right hand from bottom to top, and you're kind of like, well, what does that mean? And that means play on. That is kind of the referee signal for play on. But you have to be really in the weeds to know what that means. If you're a TV viewer, you don't know what that means.
I thought play on was 2 on.
Enough of this glorification of all of this. Ray Hudson carried you with a sound. We're talking about, oh, what a majestic Whittingham, able to handle the confusion when Ray Hudson's the star of this clip.
He always is the star.
Yes, he's always the star, and you have
the
to
ghost is back.
You sound and look like a pilot. You sound and look like a helicopter pilot. I would trust you. I would trust you, and I would trust that flight because you handled that in times of crisis, and you look over, and you're with Ray Hudson, and that's as good as your career gets, correct?
Totally. I mean, this game, which even independent of all the controversy, if I may bring back an old...
dude, you're from Broward.
God. Oh, for the love of God.
Yeah, I mean, in the midst of all that controversy, to be able to...
Whittingham is a fancy lad.
To figure that out. I mean, but even independent of all that, it's a brilliant game. It's one of those that's sort of rich in story. It's the two Madrid teams. They played in the Champions League 4 times over, I want to say, 6 years, and Atleti lost all of them. They've never beaten Real Madrid in the European Cup. They've never won the European Cup, and Real Madrid have won it 15 times. So it's one of those where it's a big sort of narrative game where can Atleti finally do it? They score in the first 30 seconds of the game. They're grinding it out. They're defending the entire time. They go to penalties and think, oh, maybe we can finally win this lottery. And instead of actually finally winning it, they have a double kick, which is the most absurd, crazy way for that to have happened.
Was that a slurp?
That was a slurp.
That was a slurp.
That was an intake of breath.
Wow, after like one of your finest professional moments.
That was a slurp. Really, a slurp. And actually,
that was an intake
soccer.
of breath.
Boy, let me tell you something. Witty, I know what a slurp sounds like, and that was a slurp.
We all.
Am I eating something? I'm not eating anything.
We'll isolate the slurp
like
and embarrass you. Do our best to make sure you never call a World Cup game. And ultimately, like, Atletico Madrid did get another opportunity to stay in that game. Real Madrid did miss a PK, so it's going to be remembered for that. But one thing that I wanted to ask you about was the PK that Vinny took after Mbappe made a move that only Mbappe could make. Just makes something out of nothing, takes on two defenders that both have an angle on him, cuts it inside, forces the PK. How does Mbappe not take that? Instead, they go to Vinny Jr., who's been subjected to so much racial abuse, particularly in that stadium. The moment seems huge. The crowd is going nuts. He's getting yelled at all sorts of obscenities I can only imagine given the history, and he sails it. What was the decision there to go with Vinny?
Well, all three of those guys, Vinny Jr., Mbappe, and Jude Bellingham, can all take penalties. And so Vinny actually has a good record over penalties in his career and in this season. I think he's 2 for 2 this season and something like 17 for 20, don't quote me on that, over the course of his career. So he's a good penalty taker. And earlier in the season, when Mbappe was really struggling to integrate into this Real Madrid team, when he was the big signing and everyone was talking about Mbappe and the fact that he wasn't really fitting in, he was kind of fitting out, he missed a couple of big penalties earlier in the season. And he has had these sort of up and down moments. I agree with you. Generally, the player who wins the penalty in that spot should generally take it. But Vinny has a good record, and I'm not surprised that he took it. For me, the interesting thing that happened later in the game was basically Ancelotti, the manager, took him off because they didn't want to put him in a spot to have to take a penalty late in the game. They took him off in the 115th minute of the game with only 5 minutes to go. You're only really making subs at that point for the penalty shootout. And he basically said, I'm not putting you under that spotlight. If someone else misses and we go out, that's fine. I'm not having you be the guy that misses 2 penalties in one game and we go out of the Champions League. And it actually is really good management. And in some ways, I think that would have been a bigger story if not for the fact that Atleti had this crazy situation happen to them.
Witty. So a couple of days ago, PSG versus Liverpool. Liverpool had a guy, Curtis Jones, miss his PK, a really weird, feeble attempt. And the broadcast, if I'm not mistaken, said, this guy's never taken a PK in his life. What is the scenario where a manager says, you know what, I've never seen you do this, but I trust in you in the biggest stage?
And also, Chris Cody, did you locate the slurp? I need you to know that you are on the hunt right
Chris
now
Cody,
for the slurp. Did you find? You found the slurp? Yeah, it's a slurp. It's a slurp.
Yo.
It's a slurp.
I mean, it sounds like Scooby-Doo.
Woody now
really
is like,
happy.
oh, I remember why I hate going on the show.
There's
You
the
can see
club.
it in his eyes.
He is
They are dead.
frozen in shame, and we've probably hurt his career.
I'm really glad this is the most embarrassing thing that's happened to anyone
Put up
regarding
the-
a broadcast in this hour.
Give it a fist bump. Give it a fist bump.
Put it on the poll, Juju.
sorry,
Is this a
Woody.
slurp?
It's an obvious slurp.
This, like I said, this is Scooby-Doo when he's really happy. Oh, Scoob.
I feel worse for Woody than the Kansas State basketball player
Oh,
now.
boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Whittingham from the height of broadcasting.
I do want an answer to my Curtis Jones question.
He probably takes him in training.
How many slurps did that game get yesterday?
4.5 out of 5 slurps.
No, it's not all the slurps. You said for 3 hours. You said you watched it 100 times. You said you, like, Whittingham, this was you.
I felt great, man. I felt great until I came on this show.
I had to humble you.
The press box has changed.
But Mike said it best. The press box has changed. I mean, seriously, get over yourself. We're
Chris
going to
said it.
talk during the post game. Tim Reynolds,
Fine.
enough. I mean, enough.
I mean,
seriously.
you just got to know when
You're
the
not
Dan Le-
allowed to cheer in the press box. Did you know that?
Well,
That's
I
a
did.
They were
cardinal
cheering for
rule
Will
in baseball.
Manso. I think that's
Yeah,
allowed.
and Goldie. Yeah.
If the Dan Le Batard Show comes to a hockey press box, hilarity is going to ensue. They're going to yell at Will Manso for 7 minutes, and you're probably going to have to go to a stairwell to write, man. If
it was 7 minutes, I'd get it.
It
was
is what
7
it is.
seconds.
Exactly. I mean, David, everyone else was saying hi. They were enjoying the show. They were laughing at us. But one guy is still clutching on to his newspaper deadline.
I'm a little
and it's
disappointed.
Tim Reynolds.
And is he your demographics, too?
I don't know.
I happen to like Tim a lot, and
Enough of him.
I imagine this was going to be like E.J. Raddick or something, but that's just a bad look for Tim Reynolds.
Listen, I went up to him afterwards.
This was the best part. Stugotz
Yes.
is like, I've known Tim for years. I'm going to go fix this. He walked to Tim and walked right back very quickly.
Yep.
It was a very quick interaction.
Well, he was writing. Okay?
He's on deadline. It's
Enough of the deadline.
It's a
We're on
deadline.
I gotta get home. I feel like playoff hockey. I gotta get home. I mean,
yeah, we're on deadline too. We got to get that post game out.
It is a working press box. Tim Reynolds is a journalist who's trying to write, and Stugotz is back there. Hey, Will Manso!
That's Chris and Goldie. Don't leave out Goldie.
We're on deadline too. They're going to kick us out of that press box a lot sooner than they'll kick out Tim Reynolds, who's just typing away. That's just
Those writers had their game stories done before the end of the game.
Precisely.
Yeah, a good writer, right?
Oh,
what happened there? I apologized to him. I've known Tim for decades. I mean, Cody was done. He was out of there. I mean, you know.
What was that interaction like, Stugotz? Take us behind the scenes. You walk up to him, you say what, he says what?
I said, Tim, I apologize. That's on me. I should know better. Not Chris, okay? I should know better. I've been in press boxes before. I know you have a deadline. I apologize. And he said, that's fine. Just, try to keep it down.
That is way too long.
That was
way
much longer than the actual conversation.
I always extend it a little bit.
Can
you guys
we call Tim Reynolds and just ask him about what the interaction was like?
No.
Great Cody's back in my day. Seeds.
Seeds. Had a slice of watermelon lately? Popped a few grapes in your maw? Then you probably notice seeds are disappearing from fruit. And you probably see this as a good thing just because it makes life a little easier. We love us some convenience. In fact, it's a terrible thing, the de-seeding of us. Symbolically alone, the seed is the king of life. Adam gave his to Eve, and here we are, if you believe the story. If they take the seed out of humans the way we have watermelons, we're all dead ducks. Beans, peas, rice, coffee, corn, all seeds. Flour and oil started as seeds. All hail seeds. So what the hell is happening? In exchange for convenience, we are not valuing the seed's impact on health, biodiversity, and our food system. The genetic variability of most plants require seeds as essential to their evolution. De-seeded, artificially homogenized fruits rely on human intervention in the reproductive process, exposing the fruits to many pathogens. Plainly put, seedless fruits are not as good for you. They contain less fiber and have fewer minerals and vitamins than their seeded natural brethren. Seedless fruits also have fewer antioxidants, plant-based nutrients, and anti-inflammatory properties. But enough about this science. Bring back seeds because seeds are fun. Not to mention aesthetically and visually pleasing. Kids growing up today have sliced open a watermelon, have never sliced open a watermelon, and experienced the joy of seeing that juicy red flesh dotted with embedded black seeds. Nellie Doogie used to tell us if we swallowed a watermelon seed, a big melon would grow on our belly. It wasn't true. But as kids would make a competition out of seed spitting. You extracted the big seeds from the melon flesh. Tongue only, never fingers or a utensil, and you'd see who could project a seed the farthest. Every summer we did that. This was before video games, kids. Made our own games and toys. Flew a kite, kicked a can, spit a seed. Grapes were the real challenge because the seeds were so much smaller. We'd both pop a grape in our mouth, tongue moving, jaws in action, and whoever could spit out 3 seeds onto the table the fastest won. To this day, I carve real pumpkins and eschew the free-fab foam and plastic fakes, mainly for the treasure trove of seeds inside. Hundreds and hundreds of them waiting to be scraped out, cleaned, and roasted in the oven to become delicious natural snacks. Respect, worship, and bring back the seeds. I need a t-shirt that says convenience is overrated. Insist to your local grocer that you'll take your watermelon seeded, please, and the grapes too. I'm Greg Cody, and that's how it was back in my day.
Yep.
Journalism is
I'm wondering how it is that folks think all of this feels to someone like Eric Spoelstra. I mean, I know that the wheels have fallen off of the Miami Heat, but at the center of it is a man who's, over the last 15 years, nobody's reputation has been improved more by being around the Miami things than Eric Spoelstra has. Widely regarded throughout the sport as the best at coaching. This season has been an apocalypse. Bam Adebayo is a mystery. I don't understand why I'm ever watching an NBA game where he's 2 for 7.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand how that is happening and what happened to a team that I'm going to say revolutionized basketball or was trying to play a positionless basketball at a time that the sport was changing. And now the era of that collapses at the finish line with Portland having a better record than the Heat. But where Spoelstra is in the middle of that, who's never seemed like a joy. He's a bit of a mystery figure, right? Because he's boring on purpose, talks the Spoelstra cliches, but, underneath, a Miami Heat lifer, loyalist, and there's some misery in being in that cooker. Like, it's the pursuit of it is 80 hours a week.
I believe it was Pat who said there's winning and then there's misery. And clearly they're not winning right now, so.
But it's not just that. It's that the whole thing has collapsed. Like, there's that, and it doesn't mean that they can't get other players, but the two that they were building around, they're out there, and still in the fourth quarter, they can't do anything.
Last night's different than some of these other games, I think. Like, last night, they just got outplayed. The Clippers are a better team. They got outplayed from the jump, and they never really had a chance in that game. The games that you look at where you wonder what's going on, it's the games against the Hornets, it's the games against the Bulls. And in both of those games, it's floundering down the stretch, but really what it is building up a 15 to 20-point lead early in the game and not having the firepower to put it away and hold on to those leads in the second and third quarter. It's when you're up and you can't step on another team's neck and end a game, and that's because of the dysfunction that we've seen offensively and particularly defensively for this team. But the problem's really been they can't get Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo to play well on the same night or for the same stretch. Hero was elite as a three-point shooter, as a scoring guard up until February. And then since the start of February, excluding last night, he's shooting under 30% from three. Basically, since then, Bam Adebayo has played some of the best offensive basketball of his career. It's totally disjointed. And despite the fact that these guys obviously are getting along better than they did while Jimmy was here.
They stink.
They stink right now. They do.
Nobody cares that they get along better.
Well, I mean,
they stink. Nobody cares.
From you, Dan.
I know.
You're the one
I know.
who started that.
I know. Nobody cares that they get along better. Nobody cares that they've got a nicer workplace.
Wait, that's a scoop? They got rid of Jimmy and everyone's happier? That's a scoop? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, the Warriors got Jimmy and they're happier too.
Understood. Well, they got, newlywed Jimmy.
Yeah.
Honeymoon Jimmy.
They got contract signed, ink dried Jimmy.
Yeah. Give it like
30-game sprint, 30 games in it's perfect. This couldn't have worked out better for Jimmy despite not wanting to actually go there from the beginning.
It could work out better.
Well, when they win it.
And they win it all, then it's like the ultimate.
Then it's perfect.
Then it becomes the crowning achievement, right? Because if you think of his departure from here, reputationally, I don't know why, because it's not the first time, but reputationally, he kind of took a hit, right? So if you go to Golden State and then breathe life, revitalize what looked like a dead season for them, and help Steph Curry get his 5th title, which then, A, separates him from LeBron, but B, puts him on that pedestal with Magic and Kobe and some of these other kind of top 10 esque names. Then Jimmy Butler becomes like almost bigger folklore than he was even before, having taken this team to the finals twice. Then it turns into Jimmy Butler, what a swell guy.
No doubt. And I'm kind of rooting for that narrative. It's all right. You can kind of know more if you're plugged in as to what actually happened there and give yourself over to the narrative and be happy for the guy. I do hope that Heat fans kind of rally around him and root for him in the playoffs. It ended so ugly and it was so counterculture to how the Heat operate that maybe that's not going to happen, and it's unfortunate because that guy, given his performances in the playoffs previously, especially in this uniform, I want him to get the title so that can't be held against him.
You're wondering how it's going to go in the playoffs. I'm wondering how it's going to go 12 days from now across the street because the Heat are floundering. They're losing all these games. The team is frustrated. When they're missing open shots, when they're on a run, you can kind of hear smattered boos in the crowd. Like, the fans are very frustrated right now watching the product. And 12 days from now, Jimmy Butler and the Golden State Warriors are going to show up in this arena. That's going to be one of the regular season games to watch of the year, regardless of how the Heat are playing, because it's going to feel. Yeah. And I'm intrigued to see the way that the crowd reacts. Right? I think you're going to have a mixed group. Honestly,
no doubt. I'm interested in attending that game. When is it? Wait,
is
it
25th?
Tuesday the 25th.
Oh, it's a Tuesday. I can make that. Yeah, I'll give them a standing ovation. I hope they do the tribute video. I guess that's a bigger question.
Video.
They will do the tribute video.
They're not doing no tribute video.
The Heat are classy. 100%.
That's where we need Dan's reporting.
100%.
Give me that scoop. They got to do a video.
100%
That
they
is
do a
so
video.
petty.
It is such a
that would be
a bad
so
look.
Chris, look at me.
That would be terrible.
They're not doing
I'll
a tribute
bet.
video.
I'll bet on that. I'll bet you $100.
Well,
that is
they
wrong.
might give you a moment in a timeout where they like show a graphic. I highly doubt that there's a fully produced video, and the circumstances that have happened in the last few weeks with both franchises have only made it less likely. I wouldn't have expected it regardless the way it was sabotaged.
Revolting. I hope they're not even entertaining that. You got to be the bigger person in this situation. He's a legend. He deserves to get his jersey retired. I understand that it's a conversation for another day. That whatever the problem is between the organization and the player, that's fine. This Heat fan base has a relationship with Jimmy that I think can see past how it ended, and you give him that moment, and if it turns out to be boos, let that happen too, but you give the opportunity for the fans to speak for themselves.
You know that they put out a statement already on social when he left. Like, they did the thanks Jimmy thing.
I mean,
they wouldn't, by your math, they wouldn't have done that either.
I'm telling you, there's a snowflake's chance in hell that they have a tribute video. Like you said, they might acknowledge him.
Right.
Maybe in the intros, the player intros, typically the player intros are always at a guard from Davidson and Steph Curry and blah, 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 and from Tomball, Texas, Jimmy Butler.
They did that with Max Strus when he was here recently as well.
They'll do that. They're not doing a
first quarter video.
Jessica, why are you smirking?
I mean,
yes.
yeah, like they did it. Oh, they did it for Max Strus.
Well, no, that's what they did with Max Strus. Yeah. My expectation would be that they would do the same thing. They might give him the Jimmy Butler, let everybody applaud, intro, and they might do a thank you Jimmy graphic, the same one you saw on social media.
Oh, man,
but honestly, they don't normally give tribute videos for anyone that hasn't won a title.
Look at how far we've fallen.
I'm just
this team was in the finals 2 years ago, and now we're debating what the video board's going to do when Jimmy Butler comes back to town.
I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed that we are a show now that talks for 10 minutes about did he double tap the ball? Did he touch it with this toe?
That was interesting.
On an instant replay. I know.
You got a slurp out of it.
I know, but the silliness of it, the ridiculousness of.
Poor Whitty. I mean, you guys know what you just did to him.
Yeah, that
right?
was unfortunate.
You have him on to celebrate him. He's got this great job. He's internationally famous, world-renowned Chris Whittingham, and then
he did it.
Drag him back down.
We didn't make him do it.
You could have let it slide, Chris.
Can we get Juju to put on the poll? What's more embarrassing, the fist pump from Jeremy or the slurp?
Well, all right. So take me through this. Okay, we're here now. So Jeremy, I do not want you to feel alone with this. Okay, you're allowed.
You don't.
No. You look.
Just delivered the news.
I want to know.
Just delivered the news. Who's in the production truck telling you that in your earpiece? You just delivered the news.
Great third question, Jeremy. Thanks.
You just delivered the news.
This is wrong. Let the man feel good. good about himself after a job well done. And there's pressure on the job, and you shouldn't be embarrassed that vulnerability is something. It's just you feeling good about yourself because you did your job.
Yeah, that's right.
You did your job well, but what had you done well that produced that as your response?
At some jobs, you could feel good about yourself.
Which interview was that? I want to go back and watch it.
No, I don't want that.
We should watch that interview to see what he fist pumped.
Okay, so if we really want to get into the weeds, because I think that's what this show has become today. Over at the Kaseya Center, when you're interviewing post-game, traditionally for the last forever, those interviews have just been over the air on TV. And this season, halfway through this season, there was a decision made that now these interviews are going to go out throughout the arena. And so it changes the perspective of how you conduct an interview. You're trying to play to the crowd. You're trying to get one of the players to acknowledge the crowd. That's sort of part of the yin and the yang, the balance of what this is. You're trying to get real answers. You're also trying to get energy. And the first couple of times that I did this, I struggled. I didn't hold the mic close enough, so there's a little bit of feedback because it's a different thing than when you're doing the interview for TV and those mics are less sensitive. I felt the pressure and the nerves. And in this scenario, it was the first time it went smooth. I think this might have been an interview with Tyler Hero and got him to chuckle about an all-star game. I just felt good about myself. I'm allowed to feel good about myself. This place refuses to let that happen.
By way of example, 22-time Emmy Award winner Jason Jackson never got to do this.
Right.
He's a trendsetter. He's a trailblazer, a pioneer.
I have a new song if you want it.
Did you already make it?
Yeah, it's ready.
It's about
the video
sadness
team.
of this,
All right. So he was singing before the show. It was nice to watch. It was actually because it's not just that Meadowlark will crush your spirit when you are otherwise happy. Sometimes they birth an environment, or an environment is birthed that produces. Jeremy wants to partake in song he's confident in. So no,
confident, strong. I felt confident until you guys did what you've done for the last 45 minutes, making fun of me, and I'm not sure if we have it ready quite yet, because I needed to make sure that everyone has the lyrics, because this is an important song.
Okay.
I really put my heart into it.
All right, I want to play it in a second.
You do a good job.
Chris is doing a good job when he says, as a superhero, I do love the superhero of delivered the news, like as a.
Before we talk about Jeremy's song, can we talk about another song that went viral many, many moons ago? I mean, do you remember when the Blazers had an anthem singer start singing the national anthem a couple decades ago?
Yeah, she was like 12
and Mo
years
Cheeks
old.
came up and helped her get through it, and the crowd sang along. Last night before the Knicks Blazers game, they invited her back, and Mo Cheeks was at the game, and they let her redeem herself.
Oh, thank you for that.
Happy ending to what was a very embarrassing but heartfelt moment.
But it was one of
just delivered the news.
Yeah, it was one of the original internet feel-good moments, right? Because she was struggling. And like you could, we've all been there, right? Where someone's gonna sing the national anthem, and it's like it's not going well, and that little murmur happens.
Oh wait, hold on. Mo Cheeks had a distinguished, either borderline Hall of Fame career. Mo Cheeks was a great player. This is what I associate.
Really?
I associate him with a moment of kindness, even though I loved his Sixers teams, and like I grew up on some of the basketball Mo Cheeks was playing, and I associate him with a tender moment where. Somebody was falling apart, and I felt like Mo Cheeks got contracts after the kindness of that moment.
So I definitely think it extended his tenure in Portland because it was such a feel good moment. But yeah, to the people listening who know, like, what are you guys talking about? The girl comes to sing the national anthem at the Blazers game. Mo Cheeks is the head coach. She's struggling to it. She's probably about 12 or 13 years old. She's very young. And you could see the confidence drain out of her, kind of like Jeremy when we started making fun of him.
Every time
she was 13, and Twilight's Last Gleaming, everything went downhill after that.
Yeah, and so Mo Cheeks goes out there, and he puts his arm around her, and he helps her sing through it, even though he's not a good singer either. And then the crowd starts singing the national anthem together. And the girl starts crying, but it's like a kind of a crying of tears of joy because like everyone came to her aid rather than do the thing which is point and laugh, which is what we did to Carl Lewis like a decade before that. But the point is, it was such a feel-good moment. It was on every news show. It really didn't go viral because there wasn't a viral internet thing. And also, Dan, I think you're right. Like, because Mo Cheeks at that point, his tenure was a little choppy. I think it bought him some goodwill that allowed him a little bit more time in that market to be the head coach. So Jessica,
Mo Cheeks is on the Knicks staff now.
There you go. And they're playing at Portland, the game that Dan knows that Mikal Bridges won a game winner, but didn't know where it happened. It happened at Portland. And bang! There you go. And do we have that video? I'm assuming we don't.
Oh, we can get it easily, but
Okay.
it was a moment. I mean, this woman is now 22 years older. I think this was in 2003 when the original Anthem fail happened. So she comes out and now she's an adult.
Yeah.
Time, the passage of time.
Man, it makes you, dude. I saw Goran Dragic yesterday, and obviously he's retired and he comes to Heat games here and there. And I'm sitting there, and it's me and him and a front office guy from another team. And we're talking, and he's talking about the first time I came to America. Amin was the guy that picked me up from the airport. And, we start talking about, summer league. He missed his first summer league because he had to negotiate a buyout. But then the second summer league, I was like, yes, I remember. It was you and Robin Lopez. And Robin Lopez, because he got teed up, cussing out the refs, started his solution was, instead of cussing out the refs directly, I'm going to go to Brooke Lopez, who's sitting courtside, and start cussing him out. Like, can you ever believe this over here? And the front office guy is like, it feels like yesterday, doesn't it? And like, it does. I still look at Goran as like this little kid coming off a plane from Slovenia, learning American culture and learning things and getting his driver's license. And meanwhile, he's a guy with gray hair and kids who are grown up and stuff like that.
Julia Dale is a woman now.
Who's Julia Dale?
Who's Julia Dale?
Legend.
Cute one.
Is that the girl that was singing the national anthem?
For the Miami Heat.
Oh.
Anytime the Miami Heat needed a dub, they brought in Julia Dale. She was a little girl. Now she's a woman.
We had the trumpet guy in Phoenix. Dr. Jesse. What was Dr. Jesse?
We have Roberto Luongo on the drum, possibly Dan, and Julia Dale on the anthem.
They won that game, right, Dan? I know you left early.
Goran Dragic is an old person.
Dude, it's crazy.
They did win that game. We haven't even talked about Mike walking out of the Bruins. After all that Marchand talk that we did, the Bruins scored 3 goals in the third period against the Panthers. And
it's the first time. When do the Panthers ever lose when they have a 2-goal lead in the third period, especially in regulation? It doesn't happen. I'm telling you. We invited something evil into our franchise, and we immediately paid for it, guys. I don't like this one bit.
Oh, it's Juju and not PEDs.
No, this is all Juju. Okay. I bet you even
Juju's post game.
Ekblad doesn't even test positive for it. If this wasn't in the stars,
Mike's feeling haunted right now.
The universe has decided that this is a bad thing.
There are compromises made in the pursuit of glory, and Mike says that bringing on the haunted remains of Brad Marchand is bringing in a double agent meant on nefarious behavior that begins with his spirit haunting the team as it returns to Boston. And they wasted a lot of money flying him back and forth for no good reason. Can we play that song by Jeremy? I can't believe that Ray Hudson stole that clip from Whittingham. Ray Hudson's an old man. Ray Hudson's still a legend. He's got to be older than 70, is he not?
I think so. Yeah, he's definitely a legend. And Whitty's also done enough games with him that he's picked up this tick I've noticed whenever I hang out with Whitty. He always goes like, oh. And it took me a couple times. Like, he did it another time. Anytime he's reacting to something on TV, he goes, oh. I'm like, are you doing Ray Hudson right now? And he absolutely is. That's a Ray Hudson thing. Oh.
Are you in any way jealous that he is now friends with Ray Hudson and you love some of the things?
Ray Hudson's the greatest color commentary voice for me, at least based out of America. Europeans can have their opinion, but readily available voices on the biggest games. If you wanted to watch La Liga when Messi and Ronaldo were going at it, the soundtrack of that was Phil Shane, who worked at 790 with us as an update anchor at the time, and Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson, who has roots in this community dating back to the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, was a great manager for the Miami Fusion, as he'd like to call them. So he is a South Florida guy, even though he's from Europe. But yeah, Ray Hudson, to me, that's an all-time GOAT. The fact that Whitty is at the top of the profession calling the Madrid Derby. He'd correct me and slap me on my wrist.
Yeah, but what position is he in? Professional broadcasting slurper.
But I mean, that's really cool. I'm so proud of Whitty. He's always been really good. He's gotten better and better. For him to be calling the Madrid Derby, in the Champions League knockout stage on Paramount Plus alongside Ray Hudson. That's amazing for the guy.
Ray Hudson, number 10 on the Greg Cody Show list, top 100 guests.
Where did I end up?
Wait, what was Witty?
Witty is on there. I got to find him. I got to scroll. I mean, let me see where you ended up.
Yeah.
Doesn't bode well.
I was the first guest, by the way, in the history of the Greg Cody Show.
That's an amazing trivia nugget.
I'm seeing here in the mid-30s.
Mid-30s? There's no chance there are 29 more important people than me.
I mean, he was the first guest. And for all the joshing that we do on air, I am proud of Jeremy and Chris Whittingham's success.
We're just joshing?
We're not joshing.
We're not joshing.
Well, it all hinges on this song, really.
I think it also is worth mentioning that Jeremy's fist bump came after the Heat won on a buzzer beater.
Did they?
So there's some bias being alleged.
Maybe
here.
adrenaline.
Okay, but those people aren't behaving as
soul?
if that's a buzzer beater situation. So you are biased. You're bought. You're compromised, and it's okay. Yeah,
Thanks. That's coming from Dan Le Batard.
Thanks, journalist.
You don't want that endorsement,
That
Jer
is
Bear.
coming from Dan Le Batard saying you are too much of a homer about the Miami.
Me.
This is why Witty jettisoned himself away from us.
The Marlins and the Heat. You're working for both of them. You're spreading yourself out.
Not working for them. Working for a network with them in conjunction.
He covers them, Dan.
Okay.
I'm not asking questions. I'm just asking if you want to ask questions.
He's not banging drums either.
You are asking questions.
Bang!
Well, I do professionally. And then I fist bump.
That is literally what you're doing.
Deliver the news.
So the song that we're going to get to here, this story is the third day on our show. It's rare for that to happen, but it's an obvious place where we can very easily lead the Americas in uniting you and understanding where DEI could have been helpful this just one time in sports. Just this one time. We understand that you don't want diversity or equality or inclusion, but where it regards the Texas hat, I thought we would have someone in the building, a Hispanic in the building, that would tell you you cannot have a situation where you have a T replace the X in Texas so that it says tetas. And it's a great hat, and now it's got to be a more valuable hat, right? It's out of stock. Everyone wants these now. This is
secondary market's going off.
Tetas.
They were on eBay listed for $1,000. That doesn't mean anyone bought one that I am aware of for $1,000, but there is a market.
Yeah, well, I'm just waiting for Shopify to get around on this one.
Tetas.
What?
So that's David Sampson yesterday trying to say tetas.
Tetas.
It's got a question mark on it.
Tetas.
What's tetas, precious?
Tetas.
Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
How does that happen? I mean, he explained it to us yesterday, but how do you not have anyone in the front office who can raise a finger somewhere? Somebody Hispanic.
Order.
Got rid of DEI. Yeah.
This is why you have an inclusive workforce. It's not the only thing that looks bad in Spanish. You know what? Matter of fact, it's not the only thing that's problematic. The entire division of the AL West is problematic when it comes to this type of hat.
We actually had to ask David Sampson. This is amazing. It really is strange. I'm going to ask Amin. I don't think I've asked this question. The former Oakland Athletics, when you were to refer to them this season, they're going to play games. How will you refer to them?
The Sacramento Athletics. Right? Because they're playing in Sacramento, right?
But that's not what they're being referred to as.
Are they changing the name of the team?
They are presently, I asked David Sampson this, and I think Dwayne Kuiper there was a thread on Awful Announcing where he was just beside himself, and by the end of it he was just like, F it, they should be the Oakland Athletics. They're playing in Sacramento for a couple of seasons here.
Waiting for the
So they're not in Las Vegas, so you can't refer to them as the Las Vegas A's. You can't refer to them as the Oakland A's. It would make sense to call them the Sacramento A's, but from a branding standpoint, that's a little confusing. Las Vegas is also a sponsor, so they have a patch on the jersey. The city of Las Vegas, their tourism board took out ads there. They're just the Athletics.
What do you mean?
Athletics.
Wait, hold on. So, if I'm watching ESPN Sunday Night Baseball and it's Yankees at Athletics and the score box is in the top corner and it says NYY 0, it's going to say what?
It's going to say ATH instead of SAC. It's not SAC. They're Athletics.
Should be the Las Vegas Athletics via Sacramento, formerly of Oakland.
All right. Do we have the Tetas song?
Tetas.
No le importa lo que digas de él, todo su vida amado la palabra.
Chant.
No le importa cómo lo llames, aunque le llames un idiota. Puedes decirme que estoy usando el traductor de Google. No hablo español. But I know
Tetas
isn't how you say it, unless you're embarrassingly white like David.
Tetas
isn't how you say it, unless you're embarrassingly white like David.
Go pee-pee.
Oh, come on, man.
Right now. Tetas. Let's go. Tetas. Chant. Tetas. Pee-pee. Tetas.
We just delivered the news.
God Bless Golf is brought to you by Comcast Business, powering the PGA Tour with leading networking, connectivity, advanced fiber solutions, and expert partnership. And man, am I excited about the players. The players, it's not a major, but it should be a major.
You're absolutely right. It's the Players Major.
Yeah.
It's the Players Championship. This is one of the most beautiful courses in all of golf.
Best hole in golf?
Yes. The Island Green.
The Island Green.
Oh.
It's the only hole in golf that I have immortalized in a T-shirt that I bought. 17 at TPC Sawgrass is special. It's where tournaments are won and lost. You'll get the occasional electrifying hole-in-one. This is a beautiful course with a beautiful hole.
You have it on a T-shirt?
I do. A long sleeve, navy blue. The
Might
Island Green.
Might have been the day to wear it.
I love this tournament.
You're wearing it on Thursday.
No,
You're wearing it on Thursday.
This is a appointment viewing for me. I have a special relationship with TPC Sawgrass. Whenever this tournament is on TV, it's always during the doldrums of March, right before we get going on the NCAA tournament. One day a year, I sit in a hot tub and I watch golf. And it's always the players.
Yeah.
It's uber relaxing. I love how this tournament can swing wildly from one hole to another. The players get up for it because it's their championship after all. This, for me, and I know that we have like the Waste Management Open around Super Bowl time.
17's fun there.
17, that's a people's major. This is the players' major. This, for me, really kickstarts PGA season. This means occasionally I'm going to have to lock in that DK contest. Occasionally I'm going to have to stay on top of the group chat because now golf has really started.
The 7th at Pebble Beach, I'm trying to think of other holes that would compete for this title, but they're not. It's not the 7th. It's not that Island Green, though.
Really?
Because the 7th at Pebble Beach, for people that don't know, it's the par 3 where you hit it into the ocean, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's like 130 yards, but you have to hit like a 3-iron because the wind is so crazy.
Oh, it's the 8th hole. The 8th hole.
Is it the 8th? Oh, my bad.
I mean, there's a bunch at Augusta. The 17th hole at the Waste Management, the people make.
Oh, yeah, that's
the people make that hole.
Yeah.
But this is particularly challenging. This is where championships are won and lost. It's right before the tournament wraps up. This hole is always of consequence.
Yeah.
We have dramatic moments in golf that have happened here. A lot of illustrious winners in this one. And it's really when players round into form because Augusta's around the corner. This is when the guys, and there have been some questions in golf. Scheffler was straight up on fire to close the season last year. A little bit of a struggle to get going. One of the things that I got my eyes on is guys that have remained active during the quieter part of the season with TGL and whatnot. They're actually sharper in these tournaments right now and performing quite well.
You think he could three-peat on this?
I mean, I haven't seen the
field.
form.
Scheffler of the field. I'm going with the field.
I haven't seen the form there. I gotta see him lock back in there. They're guys like I like what Rory's displayed lately. Keegan Bradley, Clark. I mean, he was a house of fire to close the final round.
Jason Day played well last week.
Yeah.
Golf is
Russell
one of,
Henley.
Jason Day's not going to win it all, but I could see him playing well this week.
Golf is one of those sports. Look, I don't really know what goes into a good golfer other than the score, right? So one of the things that I've seized on in taking action is just making sure and building out my daily fantasy teams is who's in good form right now. Because form in golf tends to stick around for a couple of tournaments. So maybe Scheffler can start anew, but I just need to see better form from Scotty Scheffler.
Let me see these golfers. Like it's Sheffy. He doesn't have his bag. Look at Rory.
Oh,
who
man.
does that? Look at Ricky. Who walks in with their own stuff? Like I would have swore they had 7 assistants and that they didn't see their clubs. They see it at the range. They show up to the range. The clubs are there. I just love the idea of Rory walking up to his hotel room with his clubs.
I mean, they got their own rental cars. So they got their own stuff in there.
The players.
You're right.
The players.
I guarantee you at Augusta, they're not walking up with their own bags. Only at the players.
The players.
The players.
The players.
The players.
The players. It's a beautiful course to watch on television as well.
Yeah.
It's just the game pops, the Island Green specifically, but this entire course pops. The weather is always immaculate this time of year at TPC Sawgrass. It's a pure joy to watch this tournament. You're guaranteed better weather at this one than you usually are for Augusta because that's a little further up north, and occasionally the weather can get a little wonky up there. This is certainly way better than the British Open, which is essentially just taupe. You're constantly fiddling with your settings on your TV.
That's where golf started.
No, golf should not be played with 40-mile-per-hour winds and knees and your knees deep in the rough. It's just a terrible viewing experience. You can't even work in a proper golf nap. TPC Sawgrass, it exists for the golf nap.
Oh, the golf nap.
You'll take the golf nap. The players. You'll take it from like 7 to 12. Hole 7 to hole 12, and then you're good. You don't miss much. And you still got 17, the Island Green ahead of you. The players.
I got top 5 holes.
Let's
you guys
go.
want to hear it?
Yeah.
Just
all right.
golf holes or just holes?
You're going to have to
clarify. Top 5 golf holes.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Number 5.
Yep.
In Doral, par 4 18 on the Blue Monster course.
A Trump course.
Not really one that I thought you would go with.
That is
It's a bit of a
shocking.
surprise.
I mean,
Look at you sticking to the facts.
How
You're
often do you play this? You're out there every weekend, right?
Man, I'm rich.
No,
man.
18 at the Blue Monster. It's a great hole. I've
a
actually
great hole.
birdied it before from the tips.
Yeah,
It's just
wow,
It's
look
a
at
par
you.
5.
It's
I birdied
just
it
a
from the tip.
shocking admission
I
from down
did-
the middle Roy.
I did not see that one coming.
I'm a golf guy.
Number
Down the
4.
middle Roy, by the way, has nothing to do with politics.
Or
it's his
golf.
golf game.
It's a golf, yeah, exactly. Right down the middle of the fairway.
Roy's slice in golf is an interesting thing to behold because it's not a slice. It just goes straight to the right from his club.
Straight to right.
Most slices like start straight and peel to the right. Roy just darts to the
I
right.
hit golf carts.
You do.
Basically.
You've hit cars.
Yeah.
Not golf cars. Cars.
Cars.
And
In the
this-
parking lot.
The sound you hear
It just sounds different
swings
coming off
so
his club.
hard.
Hey, I
Number
got
4.
strike. I'm sorry. Number 4. the Waste Management Stadium Hall.
17 with the Waste Management. People get going there.
Yep. Number 3, at Augusta National, the par 3 12th.
Like that's the
scenic hole with the
with
corner? The bridge. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Number 2, Pebble Beach, par 3. The 8th hole.
This is the one in Jim Nance's backyard?
No, this is
without the wind.
Yeah, you're shooting from a cliff, basically. You're shooting down. You're overlooking the hole. You're shooting down onto the.
I believe it's the hole Dwayne Wade got a hole in one on.
Yeah.
Have you ever played this hole?
I've played Pebble Beach, but it was before I was really I was young. I went with my dad so I did play it, but I wish I played it later in life.
I could play it. And beautiful course. Yeah. And number 1 at TPC Sawgrass, par 317, the Island.
The players.
The players.
That'll do it for us.
See you later.
The players. Princess players.
If you've been listening here for a while, you have heard me really be fascinated over the years with the way that in the last 25 years of news, someone like Jon Stewart on a comedy channel could rise to a trustworthy source when you're not totally trusting where your news and information comes from. And so you lean on a comedian. And I saw, all the polls I've told you about that made him the most trusted newsman in America over all the anchor people who were doing the newscasts. In the modern age, it's been really cool to watch Bill Burr navigate the comedy space and the acting space because he's doing Glengarry Glen Ross on Broadway. He's directing films, but he's also speaking for the everyman on some stuff when it comes to going after Elon Musk or going after healthcare greed or going after the places where people just can't afford to keep up. Bill Burr has been a stronger voice on Elon Musk than almost everyone in America. Yep. And it's been amazing to watch America connect with a comedian that whether you like his style or not, or whether you think he's too angry, he really has broken through as somebody who can master even what people are regarding as difficult comedic times.
Are we calling Bill Burr Woody Page as well?
I don't know what you're saying there.
Well, Stugotz was harder on Elon Musk before anyone was. And now here comes Bill Burr, horning in on Stugotz's territory.
I just think it's cool that Bill Burr is wading into this because, as we know, most comedians these days are not exactly going to the left on their comedy. They're going to the right on their comedy and toward their audience. And we've had this conversation electorally. Does the left need their version of Joe Rogan? Is Bill Burr that? I don't really care. I'm not interested in that conversation because I think it makes it too simplified in what the issues are in the voting delegate. I just think it's great that you have someone who is out there authentically just expressing how he feels about it and relating to so many people who are so frustrated, but not doing it by stoking the fires of, oh, hey, go look at the trans community, they suck, or go look at this community, they suck. It's not punching down at anybody, it's punching up, which is the thing we've been arguing about with other famous comedians for the last how many years now? This is finally someone punching up at the establishment in a real way.
I don't think it's punching up or punching down. I think what you're witnessing is this is comedy. Comedy pushes back at whatever the conventional norms are. And so the conventional norms for the prior probably 6, 7, 8 years were moving more and more to this, we can't joke about that. Oh, you can't joke about this. And so comedians are wired to be like, oh, watch me joke about this. And so now what's happening is because everything is shifting and the power has shifted and now the culture has shifted, you're seeing Bill Burr being like one of the first guys like, oh, you can't joke about that because now that's what's in charge now. And he's like, watch me joke about this.
What a quack. I don't know that you could argue
I think
that
it's punching up or
things,
down.
Or sure, I get that part of it.
You have to also apply the fact that punching up or down is very subjective.
I just think that when we look at what that shift has been, I would not argue that over the last 7 or 8 years, it's shifted conversationally the direction that you're talking about. If anything, this has been a result of the last, since 2016, us shifting further and further in our conversation away from what we had established the decade before. Because this is sort of acting like all these different communities sort of became a part of the conversation only once Trump was elected. And if anything, it was that he used a lot of those communities to get elected the first time, and they've only become a deeper part of the conversation since. So seeing as they've been the sort of easy target within comedy for the last now 5 to 10 years, it's interesting to see another perspective being taken. And this isn't even in stand-up, by the way. These are just in interviews. These are just on podcasts. These are just, there was one interview where he was saying, was it a sneaker shop? Like there's random jokes being thrown, and it's kind of fun. It's different than what we've seen from a lot of mainstream comedians as of late. And I think that's kind of fun.
How about that, Musk? I don't think podcasts, like the comedians I know, that's not like, okay, guys, jokes aside, let's take our clown makeup off and let's have a serious conversation. They're not doing that.
No,
it's not different from stand-up.
But why are we seeing it come from Bill Burr and not a lot of other places, right? Or a lot of other
kind of seen it from
comedians
Burr,
as famous as Bill Burr, I guess is more the thing, right? Because we only have these conversations when it's one of the 5 to 10 most famous comedians. If Mulaney was doing something, we obviously talked about Chappelle over and over and over and over and over again here.
I mean, he has regular platforms,
Yeah.
and I do think it's still early in this. We're not even 2 months into the new administration, but Bill Burr was held up by the right often during the last administration. In fact, his Netflix movie was championed by the right for its themes, and he was always kind of held up as someone that would push against this cancel culture. So he's equal opportunity. I just think it's a little bit magnified because the left is chasing now, and he's always kind of remained the same guy.
Stick that in your rocket and smoke it.
So, and I would argue that, again, these are most of the comedians you're talking about things have shifted around them. Even Rogan, and I'm not saying, oh, Rogan's right about everything or smart or brilliant or whatever. But prior to like 2019, I would say most people on the right would be like, Rogan's a lefty liberal thing. Like the weird thing, it's forever. We're just like 9/11 was something that changed how people view everything. COVID is going to do that forever.
Sure.
Because the number of people who were like, that guy's a quack, and then that guy would say something like, yeah, I don't know about this vaccine. And all of a sudden, everyone on the right was like, I always knew you were cool. And everyone on the left was like, you're dead to me. That's what happened for a lot of comedians, a lot of people. Man, I remember, I was just thinking about this the other day, Bradley Beal and Kyrie Irving were like, I don't know about the vax. And all of these Republicans were like, yeah, this Kyrie Irving guy, he's great. Like, Kyrie Irving,
right.
Everything he had espoused up until that point would be the most anti-Republican thing. So I see it similarly with a lot of comedians where it's like Mike said, Bill Burr was complaining about cancel culture and like everything being too sensitive, and right-wing people are like, yeah, that guy's cool or whatever. And then what happens is he continues to do his humor, which isn't shifting, but what happens is it's just easy for people to either co-opt or denounce based on, wait a second, you made fun of something that I like or that I believe in.
Comedians are inherently, at their best, anti-establishment, period, right? Like they're poking fun at the establishment. What it's been, though, is that the right, the present, like, establishment right, has branded themselves as anti-establishment, and so it's been really easy for comedians to shift to the right, be establishment, sucking up to all of these people who are establishment, painting themselves as anti-establishment. It's interesting to see Bill Burr genuinely be that in a time where that hasn't been the case as much in modern comedy, when Joe Rogan is leading the way.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where podcasting and comedy go, just because naturally the cool people are always anti-establishment. What happens when those cool people now find themselves on the establishment?
They're friends with the establishment.
Look, to draw parallels, it was weird. Our show always railed against ESPN, and then we find ourselves in ESPN. It took us a little bit to find out how to be anti-establishment from within the establishment. I think it's going to be really challenging for some acts that are a little one note, and you'll see pop culture kind of move in the direction that it always does, especially in this country, which always seems to be a pendulum.
I think also sometimes people don't catch what's happening. Sometimes people don't understand what's happening. They just see the bland optics on the top. I'll give you a great example. Andrew Schultz interviewed Trump when he was on the campaign trail. And everybody was, oh my God, I can't believe Schultz would do that, da da da. And then I said, did you watch the interview? Like, well, no. And if you watch it, what he did was it was subservient the whole time. They were making fun of Trump, but doing it in a way that Trump didn't pick up on it. Because they praise him for stuff and then throw in some stuff it's crazy that
That's actually out of the playbook from foreign leaders. Be super complimentary. He only sees the compliments, and then with policy, cut him a little bit, and he doesn't notice.
But they're doing that in the middle of the thing, and I can't count how many friends were like, "Oh, it doesn't matter." Either they said, "Well, no, he was just sucking up to him," and I'm like, "He was making fun of him to his face," or they said, "Well, it doesn't matter because they gave him a platform." I said, "Well, at the end of the day, this is the part where I do agree. If Theo Vaughn has an opportunity to book the president of the United States, he's not going to, well, that would be terrible for numbers. Of course he's going to do it, right? Because all of these guys, and this all starts with where? It starts with once upon a time, hey, you comedian, you want to make it? You better be at either the Cellar or the Comedy Store and hope that one of these TV execs sees you, and then you get your Seinfeld, right? Or you get cast in Tommy Boy or whatever it is, or you make it to SNL.
Get an SNL audition.
Right? And then I have my half-hour special on Comedy Central. Oh, I got my hour special on HBO and then Netflix, right? That was where it was. And then all of a sudden, and one of the guys who foretold all of this, that, look, these gatekeepers who are telling me that I'm not funny or I'm not good enough to have my own hour special or I'm not good enough to have my own sitcom, whatever. But I see the crowds that come out when I do shows. I'm selling out everywhere, night after night, two shows a night. It was Andrew Schultz. He told me this in 2015. He was like, all of this network stuff is dying. The audience is there. And about, I want to say a year or so later, he put out his special for free on YouTube, and it did crazy numbers. And that's where Schultz knew, they can say you're not good enough. Doesn't matter. Well, I have my own economy, my own industry here. And so once you've created, this is the model now for comedians. It's not, I've got to impress the execs over down at Viacom. Now it's, I just have to do something that brings enough people to the shows and supports my content wherever it is. So if I have something, because this is the economy of the internet, doesn't matter if you hate it or you like it, as long as you have a feeling about it, that is monetarily beneficial to me.
And the subversive stuff is important. I think it's also we've learned that nobody understands anything on deeper levels at this point when consuming media. So that's why there's so many folks who are frustrated by platforming anybody, because we've learned the general audience of anything is kind of too stupid to pick up on anything deeper than the surface level. And that's why Bill Burr so directly just going after Elon Musk with jokes is kind of fun to watch, because it's not this secondhand way of doing it. It's, hey, man, I'm going after you, and it's clear to everyone what the intention is, which it's a shame that that's where we're at, but it's clear that context is just no longer really part of the conversation.
And it's no longer important either.
Right.
You'll be spoon-fed. He campaigned on this, and you'll nod along. Yeah, he did. This is what I voted for. And no, none of this stuff.
Right.
51st state, Zelensky's a dictator. Even the Gulf of America was something that happened after the election. The only thing that's remained consistent that he campaigned on his concepts of a plan. But I think Andrew Schultz is very well positioned in that Andrew Schultz, to me, burst on the scene with COVID. And he proved that he could be anti-establishment when the establishment was the right, and he was equal opportunity. Just so happened, as he fully ascended, then the left took over. And again, equal opportunity guy gets championed by the right, but I think he can easily pivot, as he's shown in his career.
Well, the thing that I find interesting about the economy of comedy, right, because especially difficult during the pandemic, you see even the best comics threatened by the inability to tour and the idea that 300 people get to make a living this way and the streamers exist so that comedy may boom, but it's a tough way to make a living. And, you've got health insurance. The self-employment of it is difficult. And these guys fear not being able to make a living that way. And so they have to make some choices on what's good business. Where are my customers? Where do I meet my customers where they are? And that's where comedians sometimes can end up not standing for very much, right? Like during the modern age, you do have to make a stand on whether you're going to interview Trump or not for the clicks. Yeah. Like you do have to make that decision, and it's fine. It might be good for business, and you might choose business there, but Bill Burr is doing something that is just actively outraged as he begins the grumpy old man stage of his career, where he's got the confidence to say whatever the bleep he wants because he knows he's as good as anyone who's ever done it.
He's been a grumpy old man his entire
career. Yeah. Number one. Number two, Dan, I would say that when you say, a stand, take a stand, the only stand comedians have to make, and I got to quote Brad Williams on this one, ha-ha or not ha-ha. That's it. All they got to do is make it funny.
I know, but I'd like the best of them that I remember for all time are the enduring ones who didn't just make it funny. They were they were the best at navigating the times. Like George Carlin isn't remembered by everyone in comedy because he didn't know how to see this stuff 50 years in advance. Josh Johnson's doing this right now with young people where he's really connected in a special place. And the reason he can do it is because from day to day he can change his act because the news is changing every day. So it's just all these people are doing is daily radio shows now. All of them. The comedians have all realized, wait a minute, I could just sit in front of a microphone and just work material for 2 hours and people will eat it up. They'll pay for it.
But then for every George Carlin, and George Carlin, you're right, for everything that you said he's remembered as, I can give you a Jerry Seinfeld, who has never done anything topical of that nature that indicates one way or another.
But the ones that we respect for all time are the Richard Pryors, the Lenny Bruces, the ones that were of their time and spoke.
No, Nate Bargatze is kind of famous because he doesn't do that.
Mulaney's another example. Although he has a really, really, really good bit about a horse loose in a hospital.
It's just like again. It's who's like now. If you're middle of the road funny, okay. But if you're funny, man, we respect and remember these guys for being funny, for making us laugh, man. I'll give you another very toxic example. Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby's most memorable.
Whoa! Where did that come from?
Oh my God, I've never been so happy to hear that music in my life.
Oh, I've been happier at least 2 dozen times.
Can't do another hour on the state of comedy.
What Bill Burr's doing is interesting.
What's it say, Dan?
How much would I have to pay you to never talk to any of your friends again?
We've done this one. It's a rerun. Why are we throwing that in?
Put it back in the box.
I venture to say it's not even that interesting.
Just pick a new one.
I mean, I get plenty of people venting about Musk.
I'm embarrassed by this. Would you rather your partner always talk in medieval Old English or pirate slang?
Ooh.
Easy. Pirate slang.
Really? I was going to say it's easy. Medieval.
No way, matey.
Yeah.
Arr.
No, I can't get away with that in a fancy restaurant.
I be wanting a swig of your rum. Come on, man.
Is the medieval English like with a loud, obnoxious accent, or is this just a subtle? Right? Is it all that?
Listen to my words.
But you can also be an affluent one. You can't really see an affluent pirate.
A noble person.
Pirate is there's no nobility in
can't
being a
hide
pirate.
the pirate. Like I feel like the other voice, like Old English, you could just be like, yeah, that's just the
Old English is like not. Is my understanding of Old English different? I'm thinking like Beowulf, like English that we would not find recognizable.
I'm
you guys
just
are
thinking
thinking
the
like
fight
the way
scene.
Chris
This is
Whittingham
medieval.
talks.
No, I'm just thinking the fight scene in Cable Guy.
It's hard to hide a pirate. Arr! Like that's embarrassing as soon as my wife walks in the room.
No,
like why is she? Arr!
Hey, honey, I'm trying to buy that Tetas hat on eBay. How much does it cost? 1,000 doubloons, my lad.
Tetas?
There's more of a class system in medieval times.
I'm genuinely confounded on what medieval is actually. Medieval Old English, because he just did hear ye, which is just sort of a bugler's announcement of some sort. That's not all medieval accent.
Middle Ages, yeah, that works.
The right. Hear ye, what beyond
That's
that?
Town Crier.
That's not what I'm picturing. Like the 1100s.
Yeah,
that's what.
Oh, that's not English then.
Well, it's Old English, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, I took these classes a decade ago.
Yees, a lot of yees.
It's not even that. It's like Jessica said, you would not understand what they're saying. It's so
Have you ever read Beowulf?
Yeah.
It's hard to read. Yes.
Like I can't even think of an example of it off the top of my head.
Right.
I mean, the one they call Beowulf.
I did in high school. It was many, many years ago. The reading of Beowulf was confounding to a young lad who didn't really understand.
My sister majored in medieval studies. She has a Beowulf tattoo.
Wow. Really? That is so whack.
A most unpleasant tale told.
I don't know whether that was a pirate
It's
or
a pirate.
That was both.
I don't know.
You landlubber.
Well, that's cheating. That's not. I mean, you landlubber.
Landblubber.
It is lubber.
I know, but he just wanted to do the blubber joke. You look at him. Look how pleased the pirate is. The old pirate is so pleased with his fat joke as the.
Can we revisit something from earlier this week? I wanted to sort of just say out loud how funny it was to hear people chanting "Fire Nico" at medieval times. At this point, I am starting to feel a little bad for the guy because they're chanting "Fire you" at medieval times. That's rough, but. The sound and the visual was so funny. There's a joust happening. There's giant turkey legs and mead and people chanting "Fire Nico."
Fortune does not shine on young Harrison.
What's the what? Give me a key when it comes to medieval, because I just asked ChatGPT to give me a medieval person talking about last night's Knicks game, and it gave me a whole script. But
I will get to that in a second. But first, let's play.
Really good, sir.
All right. Well, there. That.
The contest of last eve was most enthralling.
Yeah, that'd get really
The Knights
annoying.
of New York did battle against their foes with great vigor.
That is much more annoying than
Yet
a
their
pirate.
defenses faltered as their castle walls were laid siege by the most fearsome force from
I'd rather have this than my wife.
No.
Yeah, I feel
Lo,
like the
their
descriptors.
archers, off true of aim, did misfire.
Bang, matey.
That's much more fun.
Their balladees sing of missed opportunities at the free throw line.
Allow me to tell the tale of Heat Clippers from last night as a pirate.
Please.
Our matey, gather around for a tale of the Heat Clippers showdown. The Miami Heat sailed into the battle against the Los Angeles Clippers, bringing fire on the court. The Heat crew, led by their swashbuckling captain, Jimmy Butler. ChatGPT, what are you talking about? Were battling to keep their spot in the standings, while the Clippers, led by the likes of Kawhi Leonard and one-leg Paul George, were ready to plunder the seas of victory.
Whilst the enemy did rain down three-point volleys as they... Now I'm doing... is that... What is that? That's a Mountie?
It's insecure, and I don't blame you because what you've just done
I'll
here...
save you, Nell.
The clash be fierce, with both sides giving it their all. The Heat fired cannons from beyond the arc, but the Clippers weren't about to be left in Davy Jones' locker.
He's really a good pirate.
The game was tight, with both teams exchanging blows like a mighty storm at sea. In the end, 'twas the Heat who came out victorious, outlasting the Clippers with clutch shots and solid defense. Bang!
You guys have to agree at this point that the pirate is less aggressive than the
other way. No, the pirate's always yelling. Arg! He's always on edge.
But this one, the medieval.
There's a noble quality to the medieval person.
It's noble right up until it's annoying 2 sentences in.
I think you're just doing a me thing. Because you're off on this one. No, I'm a nobleman. I'm playing a nobleman. It's in the name.
So I told ChatGPT.
He's got scurvy.
Do the game from last night, and it's kind of cheating because it says, "Ahoy, matey! Here's the tale of the Miami Heat's clash with the Clippers on March 12, 2025." The Clippers set sail into Miami's waters. I'm like, wait a second, this is exactly what you did the other one.
Yeah, but the Clippers actually do set sail.
Yeah,
They do. Yes,
but although here are some highlights.
Not often with Kawhi Leonard though.
James Harden hoisted anchor with 24 points and 11 assists.
James Harden.
Charting the course for his crew. Bogdan Bogdanovic plundered a season-high 30 points and hauled in 10 rebounds,
Doesn't make
showing
any
no
sense.
mercy.
That's not the right verb there. You don't plunder that.
They plundered
and why
it.
is he hoisting anchors? Those are bricks. You hoist anchors. There's not touch on the hoisting of
Who's
anchors.
a Pirates' favorite basketball player? Is it Harden?
I was going to say Andrew McCutcheon.
It's Steven Adams.
Yeah.
Did you guys see Steven Adams
most
last
like
night?
a pirate.
Yes. There was a fight involving Steven Adams.
Oh, I thought you said baseball player. Darn.
Do you? I'm sorry, we're boring you here, Jess. Just like I heard something about ball players.
She's Googling Beowulf.
Oh,
Beowulf tattoo is wild.
Do a recap
Well,
of
it's
Thunder
actually
Celtics as
J.R.R.
Beowulf.
Tolkien's sketch of the dragon and Beowulf.
Oh, that's my bad. Then it's cool.
J.R.
Tolkien.
Steven Adams, you were saying?
Steven Adams. So him and Mason Plumlee got like tangled up, and Steven Adams did something that I don't think I've ever seen a human being do before, at least not to a 7-footer. So Steven Adams does this thing where he walks. He's like, I'm trying to walk away, but he's walking into Plumlee. He sticks his arms under Plumlee's armpits, and that's when I goes like, I'm just trying to move forward. But that's when I realized what he was doing. He proceeded to try to lift him with forearm strength only. Dan, I don't think you are appreciating how hard that is. This right here being the only muscles to use to pick up a 7-footer and then drop them to the ground.
Steven Adams, I would imagine that what keeps him in the NBA is that he is physically stronger than most human beings. He survives as a bit of less athletic than the average person his size, but he's stronger than everybody. Like, that's how he stays on the court, is it not? Him fighting, it's the same way it's the same way all Plumlees stay on the court. All Plumlees throughout the history of Plumleyness. Steven Adams fighting Plumlee isn't terribly interesting, except for if you think about fighting Steven Adams, I imagine you would feel like you were fighting the side of a mountain or hitting something that felt like rock.
Gather around, matey, and let me tell you about the mighty Steven Adams of ye Houston Rockets. This lad be a true sea dog, a beast of a man who ain't afraid to get down and dirty in the paint. With the strength of 100 men, he be a force to be reckoned with, fighting for every rebound like it's a treasure lost at sea.
Now let's do Pig Latin.
I'm not going to do that.
Ron Artest.
Okay, I don't want to do pirate shows.
I love the Magic Crate.
Again, why was there in the Magic Crate the same Friends question that was there from the last time the Magic Crate was open?
He may not be a flashy swordsman like some of the other swashbucklers in the
Possible
league.
operator error. I'm just saying.
That might
You're
be
the one that's
no.
pulling. You're the one that's pulling.
No, I'm gonna wear this one.
Wow.
I went through them earlier this week, and I didn't remember that one being read. That's on me. This is on me.
The fact that it's still in there, it should have been tossed.
That's true.
I'm saying operator error.
You went through them
because there was like
this
50
week.
in there. I think Fuentes went rogue and put a bunch in, so I went through to make sure.
So
that
we have
they
a
were...
checks and balances, and the checks and balances failed.
Yeah, I
so
did
it's
not
more
know.
than one person's fault.
I had seen that question in there before, but I never knew we did it on air.
I don't like the fact that the Magic Crate of content is something that you're going through and checking and inspecting. I thought it was a Magic Crate that produced its own content that wasn't governed by anyone here.
Gather ye round, ye scallywags, and let me tell you about the Dan Le Batard Show, a crew of misfits that sail the airwaves with wild stories and raucous laughter, like a band of old pirates setting sail for chaos. At the helm, ye got Captain Dan Le Batard, a wisecracking sea dog who's never short on opinions, and always ready to steer the ship into uncharted waters. He's got a sharp tongue and a knack for bringing the ruckus, with his crew always following close behind.
Bringing the ruckus.
I texted my sister, send me some old English words. It's an emergency.
You've got slobber in your mouth, and I believe can you look up, please, Chum Bucket? Because we actually celebrated International Talk Like a Pirate Day early in our careers. I'm embarrassed by it. I'm sure it doesn't hold up. Chum Bucket. We did an interview with a pirate called Chum Bucket, and I find myself just looking at you guys.
The guy from Pawn Stars?
Chum Bucket and Captain Slappy.
Captain Slappy?
Yeah. It was a running bet.
When you're
like Bobby Valentine on Valentine's Day.
Oh my God.
I miss that.
What a show.
I miss Bobby Valentine on Valentine's Day.
What if it's talk like a pirate or talk like a character from Monty Python in the Quest for the Holy Grail?
That's what I was going for with the Hear You, Hear You.
Okay. I like that.
Sorry.
I'll take that one.
It put a lot of pressure on you to have something beyond hear ye. I was just a critic. I had no solutions for you. I felt for you wandering around medieval times searching for phrases that were difficult to come by.
Well, Dan, according to ChatGPT, the Dan Le Batard Show be a rollicking good time, a place where nonsense reigns, be it the kind of nonsense you can't help but enjoy. So hoist your sails, you hardy pirates, and get ready to join this crew for a wild ride on the waves of hilarity. Arr!
The waves of hilarity.
Did you guys ever go to medieval times like you did? Is there one down here?
There was one in Orlando. I think it's still there. I went to
Orlando.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean
what a
Orlando.
hike.
Orlando had the American Gladiators thing.
If
That's
you're gonna
not
go
a
all the way to
church.
Orlando, go to like a theme park. Don't go to medieval times.
Well, if you want to have dinner and a show, we're better than medieval times.
Dinner and a show.
Farther away than where Stugotz lives.
DeMar DeRozan.
I was convinced when I went to medieval times in 4th grade that they accidentally served me alcohol because I remember drinking whatever they gave, and it was dark in there. And I remember just being so like off the walls hyper the entire night. And now I think they probably just gave me something with a lot of sugar. I told my whole family I've been served Long Island iced teas.
How many medieval times are there around the United States?
Oh, business is booming.
Is it?
Yeah,
Good year for
they're
them last
killing it.
year.
I find it hard to believe that medieval times would be doing it in the modern times in a way that was wildly successful.
No,
Tiny
they're killing it.
Archibald.
Chris Cody, what are you waving at? Why are
Just
you...
going through the folder here, I see a Captain Slappy interview, December 19th, 2008.
Okay.
I should probably preview it, right?
Comedy was different back then.
Lori Markkinen.
There was a medieval times strike last year.
Oh.
Apparently, some union issues.
Well, they're back at it because that's how we got the Fire Nico chant.
A rollicking good time, I say.
Scotty Barnes.
There's only 10 locations.
There weren't unions in medieval times.
That's what management said too, and that's why the government is stepping in.